chance that Michelle Obama, Jennifer Aniston, and Serena Williams are all born men and now are either transgender, transsexuals, or transvestites. And when you use your intuition and your ability to discern, I think you'll pretty much see that it's 100%, that it's a fact that these three alleged women, these three iconic figures in our modern day American society, were all born men and have been masquerading, have been put out as a complete fraud that they're women, which is a very disturbing thing on all levels. So this realization on my part came about in an odd way. If people who are following our videos know that my family and I went camping after selling our homestead in rural Virginia, and we went camping around North Carolina and Kentucky for about a 7-week period before relocating to India for at least the next 6 months. It looks like it's going to be longer. And since that time, I've been working on my second book, and in the Art of Remembrance trilogy, Egregore. We're putting the finishing touches on that. I'm actually doing a lot of work on India and the various components of the New World Order here, which has been very interesting and eye-opening. And then really, mostly what I've been doing is working on my spiritual practice and some other things. I have a lot of video clips to go through. So I haven't been following the American news, the American media very much. Don't really care about it. I'm glad to be away from it. But anyway, I came across this video, Irrefutable Proof that Michelle Obama is a man, and I saw the title. I had a little bit of morbid curiosity. I thought it was probably, going to be something cheesy, but it was really well done. I was only going to watch a couple minutes of it, but I ended up watching the whole thing. The movie makers make a very convincing case that Michelle Obama is actually a man. Our First Lady is actually a man. So I did my own research on it, and the filmmakers overstate their case a little bit. But it's still very believable when you do your own research. You look at the facts, the data available. So I want to go through that a little bit. I want to start off by saying that one of the big pieces of evidence is that the comedian Joan Rivers, the now deceased comedian Joan Rivers, basically outed Michelle Obama as a transgender person in this video clip that I'm going to show you now.
And do you think that the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
All right, so that's Joan Rivers. A few days after outing Michelle Obama as a transgender person, she came out and issued a statement and basically said she was joking, but you can see from the video she's clearly not joking. It's one of those sort of moments where a person, especially an older person, they know the truth and they just really want to say it. And she's at a wedding and she gets asked a question and, she didn't think better of it and she just spilled the beans more or less. And just a moment of honesty, a moment of sort of an emperor has no clothes type moment, or an emperor is wearing a dress type moment. But she's clearly not in her comedian persona. She's not being a comedian. She's clearly telling the truth. I think the most telling moment for me, she's obviously telling the truth throughout the experience. She's not in any way acting or playing a part or being a comedian or joking around. But the most telling moment is right at the end. Her back is to the camera. I'm going to play that little clip again. But she says, it's okay. It's okay that she's a transvestite. It's okay. You guys are ready for this. It's okay to have a transvestite as a first lady. So she's basically giving her blessing to the situation, and she maybe really wants to tell it for that reason. She's a big supporter for the gay community. She's officiating a wedding for the gay community. So she wants to have a transvestite, a transgender person as the first lady, or a gay person as the president. But whatever her motivation, she clearly believes what she's saying. She says that her and her friends, people, everyone knows it. Everyone she's associated with, within her circle of celebrities, within the gay community, knows Michelle Obama is a transgender person. She believes that. You can see from the video. All right, here's that last little bit where her back's turned to the camera. I'm going to turn up the volume so you can hear it.
Gosh, it's okay.
That's okay, she said. Well, that's Joan Rivers. Before I make my case that these three people, these iconic figures, actually might have been originally born men, I'm going to say this sounds crazy. I thought it was crazy, and on some level, I still think it's crazy. This claim is really, really hard to believe. And I'm going to get to what I think is the most important piece of this. You really can't understand this or really believe in it unless you understand why. Why would the powers that be make something like this up? Why would they try to make things do this really hard impossible thing, make things really hard, spend lots and lots of money and resources on panning off men as women? What would be their motivation for this? And once you understand that, it gets a lot easier to believe that it's actually happening. But before I start with the evidence, I wanted to go ahead and actually make this harder to believe. Because after looking around, I found that there was actually baby pictures of Michelle Obama. At least they're claiming these are her baby pictures. There's baby pictures of Jennifer Aniston, and there's pictures of Serena Williams. All three of which are raised as girls. They were raised as women. So for this thing to actually be true, unless these are some kind of doctored Photoshop pictures, this would have had to be a well planned out, executed conspiracy that was years in the making, where they were raising girls for these iconic positions, raising boys as girls, hormone replacement therapy, working on them, training them to act as women, doing whatever they can to turn them and transform them into women. This was a monster conspiracy. It would have to be extraordinary conspiracy. And so that makes it really hard to believe. The other piece that I think that makes it hard to believe is their voices. If you listen to all their voices, maybe for the exception of Serena Williams, but both Michelle Obama and Jennifer Aniston have voices that sound relatively okay. Yeah, they sound like women's voices. And even to some extent, Serena Williams' voice. When you hear transgender people talk, usually you can tell it's like a man who's had hormone replacement therapy, and then has some level of a female voice, but also is maybe acting a little bit. In terms of the voices, though, there are plenty of people that get hormone replacement therapy. There's lots of singers that have had it, these sort of boy band. Michael Jackson, there's lots of claims that he had female hormones to make his voice higher. And you could probably tell when you listen to his voice that there was something been done there. It would always sound a little bit unnatural. But even with that, these are two roadblocks to being able to believe that this is actually happening, that these people are actually men, they were born men, and are now posing or acting as women. But there is something that will make this a lot easier to believe, and that is that people lie. People are great liars. The people that are in power are lying all the time. We are being lied to all the time. Our history's a lie. Our media's a lie. Our entertainment's a lie. And most importantly, in terms of the subject matter presented in this video, is that all of these celebrities are a brand. All of these world leaders, all these public figures, all these politicians are a brand. They are an illusion. They have a huge budget and they have a huge staff. You can see this how much celebrities are, what they look like with and without their makeup on. It's quite a transformation and just for that. But everything that they do, all the photos that they pose for, everything that they create, all the statements they make, all the narratives that are about them, they try to control. They have publicists, a huge staff. They have a huge crew that try to maintain a narrative that they control about their lives. So they are, in a sense, you are already, in a sense, believing in an illusion. Michelle Obama, Jennifer Aniston, and Serena Williams are already an illusion. They are already a brand. So all we really have to do to believe that this is possible, that these people are actually men posing as women, is include that narrative within the illusion that we're already being sold. Then we know that we're being deluded. We know that we're being lied to. We just include that. It's not that bit much of a leap to say, well, these people are actually men pretending to be women. The second eye-opening narrative that's very important to the content of this video is about the amount of resources and attention the transgender community is getting, as well as the breakthroughs in technological development that is now available for sex change operations. The first piece is that Time magazine ran a huge cover story about the transgender community. The Huffington Post has their own transgender page, and as I said earlier, there's just a lot of resources and attention going to the transgender community. There's also been breakthroughs in terms of the sex change operations in plastic surgery. The first sex change operation took place, I believe, a little over 60 years ago, and plastic surgery is going back to ancient times. And in modern history, it goes back to the 1920s. So just like with anything else, if you dump enough time, energy, and resources into it, there'll be a lot of advancement in that technology. And there is in the sex change industry. There have been so many technological breakthroughs that the author of this article suggests that a complete sex change is possible in just 10 years, and that's with full reproductive capabilities for the newly operated on person. And there's also been aesthetic breakthroughs as well. So much so that there is a transgender person, a transgender woman, who is trying to compete for and represent Canada in the Miss Universe pageant contest. In doing research for this video, I'm really stunned at how much attention and resources that this particular issue is getting. I understand it must be extremely difficult for a person to be born as one gender and identify with the other gender, to feel like a man trapped in a woman's body or feel like a woman trapped in a man's body. I can understand how difficult this must be, and I can empathize with those particular people. However, people in America who identify themselves as transgender only make up 0.3% of the entire American population. It's a very, very small amount of people, but you see that this has been something there is a lot of money for, there's a lot of research for, and there's a ton of attention and publicity for this particular issue. If you think that half of the world's population is living in extreme poverty, we're talking about 3.5 billion people. And there's so much attention about the transgender community that only makes up 0.3% of the population. You hear very little about the people that are starving. You hear very little about people with, say, cancer or some of the myriad of diseases that most people haven't even heard about, and there's no money, no time, no resources, and no publicity for these other types of issues. This is an undeniable fact that the people that run our planet, that run our material existence, are very concerned about the transgender movement, the transgender issue. They are voting with their pocketbooks, they're voting with their media corporations, they're giving a lot of attention to this issue. And the next piece I'm about to tell you has really stunned me. I have been totally shocked about this new discovery that basically happened today. Many of you probably are aware that the comedian Dave Chappelle went on the Oprah Winfrey show and discussed how he thought that there was basically some sort of conspiracy to get black comedians, to get black actors in dresses, to maybe effeminize the black males, the prominent black males in the entertainment industry, and some athletes, I guess, as well. And there's been a bunch of videos about this. I've actually watched a couple of videos about this, some really well done videos documenting the amount of famous A-list black athletes and actors and famous black people who have been effeminized. So I basically believed that this was an actual conspiracy, and it was just another way of demeaning the African American population here, which there's a lot of evidence that that actually happens. But now, after today, I believe that it isn't just about black men and effeminizing black men, because there is a ton of evidence that this also has to do with white male celebrities, white A-list male celebrities. It started when I remembered that the A-list actor Tom Hanks, the famous actor Tom Hanks, was in a show called Bosom Buddies, where he basically had to dress up as a woman